Get that scrap off my range. Captain Dane Rourke's voice cracked through the desert air like a whip, snapping every head toward Lane 15 at Ravenwood Training Complex, home of the infamous Raven's Gate tactical trials. Laughter rippled through the bleachers. On the firing line stood a small woman in grease-stained coveralls, dwarfed by the rifle in her hands. Ivy Calder, 5'4", maintenance detail. Nobody gripped an M4A1 carbine that looked like it had survived 2 wars already. The stock was taped, the barrel pitted, the finish scarred dull gray. It belonged in a scrapyard, not on a range where reputations were forged. Looks like motor pool's sending volunteers now. Sergeant Madison Pierce sneered, her phone already live-streaming to thousands. Captions scrolled, "I'm Schwunskern maintenance fail." The bleachers howled. Ivy's hands trembled so badly the carbine shook with her. To the crowd, it looked like stage fright. To Rourke, it was an insult. He loomed forward, 6'4" of ranger muscle, combat tabs glinting in the sun. This is a professional trial, not charity hour for janitors. He barked. The laughter doubled. Yet Ivy didn't flinch. She simply adjusted her grip. The tremor remained, but her fingers moved across the weapon's controls with uncanny precision. Range Officer Kyle Mercer frowned. That wasn't clumsy, it was trained. Muscle memory, etched deep when she knelt to recover a spilled handful of ammunition. Spectators expected a scramble. Instead, her eyes scanned each round for defects, sorting them by touch. Calm as breath. A few gray-haired veterans went quiet. They'd seen habits like that in firefights that never made official reports. From the back row, a young recruit, Private Ana Rodriguez, murmured, "Leave her alone." Her words drowned in jeers. At last Ivy spoke, voice steady. "I paid my entry. I have the right to compete." The bleachers roared with cruel delight, but high above. Colonel Sophia Brandt leaned on the rail of the observation platform. One glance at Ivy's posture, how the tremor aligned with her breathing instead of against it, made her jaw tighten. She had seen that before. Long ago, in places that didn't officially exist. The horn split the air. First event precision fire. Everyone expected disaster. No one expected what came next. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments so we can map our global audience. If you love stories of hidden heroes and want to follow Aria Monroe's next mission, hit subscribe now so you won't miss the next episode. Equipment malfunction. Rourke's voice rang too loud in the sudden quiet. "No way maintenance girl just outshot half my squad with that junk stick." Mercer didn't blink. He tapped the console, bringing up telemetry vapor trails, recoil signatures, trigger cadence. Systems fine. Every round tracked clean. "Then she cheated," Specialist Brooks muttered. But even he didn't sound convinced. 10 rounds, 10 perfect impacts with a warped carbine and shaking hands. 1 miracle is luck. 10 is something else. On lane 15, Ivy safed her weapon. The tremor was still there. Undeniable. But her motions were too deliberate, too professional. Rodriguez had noticed it before in the motor pool. Calder checked corners without thinking. Stripped rifles faster than armorers despite the shake. Habits no manual ever taught. Rapid fire in 5. Mercer called. 30 rounds, 30 seconds, mandatory mag changes. Rourke grinned. Swagger returning. "Cute trick. Maintenance, this is where soldiers eat you alive." Ivy ignored him. She inspected her magazines with surgical precision feed lips. Spring tension, a fingertip brush across every round. To casual eyes, it looked obsessive. To veterans, it was a warning. They knew shooters who treated each cartridge as life or death. Shooters ready. despite the tremor. Her first mag clicked into place like steel kissing steel. Stand by. Fire. The line thundered. Rangers fired controlled pairs. Textbook cadence. Ivy's rhythm was different. She didn't fight the tremor, she rode it, turning the shake into timing. Bullets streamed like water across steel. 10 down, mag drop, fresh mag in before the empty even hit concrete. Some spectators blinked, missed the change entirely. Targets collapsed in ruthless sequence, eyes at 50, chest at 100, pelvis head at 150, disable, finish, confirm. It wasn't competition shooting, it was battlefield doctrine, on the platform. Brant's jaw locked, far behind the bleachers. Master Sergeant Harrison thumbed a secure text, Wraith Zo 1, confirmed. Move. Ivy finished with 3 seconds to spare. 30 shots, 30 hits. Placement that belonged in after-action reports. Not a trial. No one laughed now. Pierce lowered her phone. Rourke opened his mouth, then closed it, color draining from his face. Break, Mercer announced, voice tight. Moving targets next. Engines growled beyond the range. A convoy of unmarked SUVs slid to a halt in a curtain of dust. Men in dark fatigues stepping out with the calm menace of professionals. On the firing line. Ivy lowered her carbine. Her hands still trembled. She looked down at them and smiled. The whistle split the air. Moving targets, 60 seconds. Distances 50 to 200 meters. Range Officer Mercer's amplified voice rolled across the bleachers. Mechanical rails screeched, silhouettes sliding to life. Dane Rourke huddled with his squad. Bravado thinned to brittle resolve. She got lucky, muttered Derek. But nobody believed it anymore. Precision fire and rapid fire weren't flukes. They were exhibitions of something far sharper. From the command booth. Colonel Sophia Brant never took her eyes off Ivy Calder. She'd already made discreet calls during the break. The woman's personnel file was paper-thin, suspiciously erased. When she whispered the name Aria Monroe to the right channels, the urgent replies chilled her. This wasn't maintenance. Shooters ready. The first target zipped at 75 meters. Rangers tracked carefully, bursts cracking. Ivy didn't track. She aimed into empty space. One squeeze. The target slid into her bullet's path. Down. At 150 meters. Faster. Crack! Another silhouette crumpled. 2 more appeared at staggered ranges. Ivy fired twice in a heartbeat, both collapsed. Perfect center mass. Doctrine said adjust, then fire. She was rewriting doctrine in front of them, by the 37-second mark. Every moving target was down. Perfect score. Her battered rifle no longer looked like scrap. It looked like part of her. The bleachers, once loud, fell into stunned silence. Phones drooped. Veterans exchanged looks not of disbelief but recognition. Predictive fire this precise was battlefield tradecraft, not competition technique. Mercer cleared his throat. Final round, drone sequence, after equipment check. But Rourke wasn't ready to bow. Pride cracked into fury. He stepped forward, voice booming. Forget drones. Let's see if you fight when the gun's gone. Hand to hand. You and me. The crowd stirred uneasily. Officers muttered. Colonel Brant leaned to cut him off. It's fine, sir, Ivy said softly. She set her rifle down with reverence, as though discarding a relic. Rourke stripped off his jacket, tattoos snaking his arms. Grin wolfish. This was his arena brute force. Ivy only tightened her plain shirt, hands trembling at her sides. He lunged a bull rush meant to end things fast. She slipped aside, letting his weight carry forward. Murmurs rose. He spun, fists slicing the air. She moved economical, redirecting, circling. Then his fist clipped her shoulder, spinning her. He seized fabric, yanked. A rip split the air, and silence fell. Against pale skin, black ink stared back an eagle. Wings spread, talons clutching a rifle, 6 initials carved in feather lines, 3 words beneath nunquam oblitus, never forgotten. The stands stiffened. Veterans snapped upright. Master Sergeant Harrison, near the SUVs, paled. A whisper cut the quiet ghost eagle. Rourke froze, grip slackening. Realization drained him. Ghost Squadron rumor. Myth stood before them. Ivy Calder, trembling on the firing line, was no clerk. She was Aria Monroe, Wraith 01. The match wasn't about points anymore. It had become a reckoning. Rourke let the shredded fabric fall, his bravado gone with it. The giant ranger looked suddenly small. Aria Monroe clutched the torn shirt to her chest, tattoo half hidden, past fully exposed. Colonel Sophia Brandt's voice rang out, sharp with grief and command. Master Sergeant Aria Monroe, Wraiths 01. I thought you were dead. Her eyes flickered but stayed steady. Monroe died out there. Calder was easier. Brandt's words carried like a hammer. What stands before you is the last commander of Ghost Squadron Task Force 88, a soldier buried deeper than metals, deeper than history itself, survivor of Operation Eclipse. A ripple of unease swept the stands. Rumors now had flesh. Her voice darkened. 7 went in. 1 came out. 9 hours under fire. 6 wounds. She carried men until her body broke. They died so others could live. The crowd fell into silence. Rourke sagged to his knees. Madison Pierce's phone slipped from her grip. Jake Rivera muttered. God help us. Aria's voice cut through. Calm but edged. You saw a broken soldier with a broken weapon. You judged what was in front of you. That's human. From the shadows. A new voice landed clean. Captain Kim, Judge Advocate, strode forward, folder in hand. Master Sergeant Monroe. I traced encrypted payments tied to Eclipse. The trail leads here to members of this unit. Gasps tore the crowd. Derek's hand twitched toward his sidearm. Aria's trembling fingers intercepted, pinning it flat with quiet force. Don't. That won't change the truth. Brooks bolted. He made it 3 steps before a plainclothes operator from the SUVs drove him into the dirt. Kim's verdict fell like a gavel. Corporal Chen. Specialist Brooks. Arrested for espionage and treason, complicit in Ghost Squadron's destruction. 2 Rangers were hauled away, shackled more by shame than cuffs. One sobbed about debts. The other stared hollow. Ghosts, unmasked. The squad left behind stood gutted. Rourke remained kneeling, crushed by reflection. Madison wept openly. The myth of Ranger invincibility shattered. Range Officer Mercer's voice cracked. Do we continue with the drone? Round Aria looked down at her duct-taped rifle, then pulled a creased photo from her pocket, 6 faces frozen in time. Her thumb brushed each one. She nodded once. We finish. 5 drones screamed skyward, weaving at 40 miles per hour, arcs flashing in the sun. No shooter had ever cleared all 5. Her stance was steady, though her hands trembled. First shot 1 shattered mid-climb. Second exploded mid-dive. Third gone behind cover. Her round punched through blind. The last 2 crossed in a lethal knot. Her double tap split the air. Both fell. Silence engulfed the range. Under 12 seconds. Aria lowered the rifle, her voice calm and final. They can rest now. She folded the photo away. For the crowd, Raven's Gate trials would never be the same. For Colonel Brandt, the storm had only begun. Because if Wraith 01 still breathed, the traitors who betrayed her might still be moving in the dark. And Ravenwood suddenly felt much smaller against the shadows closing in. They died facing the enemy, Aria Monroe said, voice calm, almost gentle. Rourke's throat tightened. We didn't know. God, we didn't know. Aria studied him. If you had. Then what? Treat me different. Respect the tremor. Leave the bag alone. How you treated me already answered that. My name doesn't change who you are, Madison Pierce whispered through tears. We can change. You can, Aria said. But not for me. For the next soldier who shows up different. For the veteran whose scars don't show. For the kid who doesn't fit your poster. She packed her battered rifle with methodical care. The crowd parted, some saluted. Others stared at their boots, ashamed. Colonel Brandt stopped her. Master Sergeant Monroe, there are people who want to see you. Recognition. Investigation. I came for closure. Aria cut in. The leak is sealed. The rest is ink on paper. She glanced back at the range Rourke on his knees. Madison clutching her phone. Soldiers shaken. Tell them Ghost Squadron finished its last mission. Tell them 7 warriors can rest. At her truck. Ana Rodriguez waited nervously. Ma'am. Thank you. You stood up before you knew who I was. That's what matters. Aria pressed a worn coin into her hand. Strength isn't loud. Sometimes it's just staying. Aria drove off. The range shrank in the mirror. Her phone buzzed. Other ghosts survived. Vienna. G7. Ghost 7. The one never recovered. She almost deleted it. Then stopped. It sparked something she thought was gone direction. Back at Ravenwood's motor pool. She slipped into her jacket. Calder. 3 Humvees down. A mechanic called. On it. Rourke stepped from the shadows. Older by years. I lived because your team didn't. Today I learned what strength is. How do I make it right? Stop being the soldier you were, Aria said. Be the one they died to save. The tremor. Do you regret it every day? And I'd do it again. That's the job. By nightfall, the story outran the dust. Madison's final upload carried no mockery, only awe. Real strength isn't swagger. It's a woman with shaking hands who carried her family home, for once. The internet listened, in her apartment. Aria laid the ghost photo on the table. Rest, she whispered. Another buzz. Moscow was a lie. Vienna is real. Your family needs you. P. She stared at her trembling hands. Broken, yes, but still hers. She typed, when reply soon. Heal first, then we fly. She didn't delete it. Some missions end. Some become roads, because broken things can still shoot straight, because endurance is its own kind of aim, because respect should never wait for a resume.